One of the things that I've noticed, and I think this is just true of human nature, is a lot of us don't have a foundation to even start from. We think we know what we want, but we don't have the foundation of why it is that we want that thing, the why.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
As you all know, I've been doing a lot of coaching, one-on-one coaching recently, and I find a common theme that happens when I sit down with another appraiser. Typically, we do it over video chat. Sometimes we'll do it over phone if the other side isn't set up for that. But I love the opportunity to get in the lives of my appraiser colleagues and to assist them and help them move to the next level. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I think this is just true of human nature, is a lot of us don't have a foundation to even start from. We think we know what we want, but we don't have the foundation of why it is that we want that thing, the why. And a lot of it comes back to the definitions that we use for ourselves. I want to spend some time today talking about one of those definitions, and the definition is wealth. What is wealth? I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored, of course, by three great companies, anow being one of them. Anow is the software that I use to get more done. You should be as well. Check them out. Go to anow.com or pick up the phone. Call the friendly salespeople there at anow at 800-ALL-A-MODE. It's 800-ALL-A-MODE. We are sponsored by DataMaster. DataMaster, of course, is the way that you can save around 45 minutes on every single appraisal report. Why? Because it takes out the time that must be spent typing information into your report. Super, super, super great tool for appraisers. Check them out. Go to datamasterusa.com. One more time, it's datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE is where I go, 3-4 times a week probably, just to get up to date on the news in the appraisal profession, to find out what's going on so that I can make better decisions. Check them out. Go to workingre.com. One more time, it's workingre.com. I love the opportunity to sit down with an appraiser. When I say sit down, typically it's over technology, but to sit down with an appraiser and really find out what it is that they want in life and then be able to help them to get there. But here's what typically happens in this situation. Typically, what I will do is sit down and we'll start to discuss what's needed. And instead of starting with the foundation, they're more into the walls and the roof, if you will. They're more into the what they want and how they want to attain it, which I can help you with, by the way. But we've got to start with a foundation. You have to start with a why. Read a book recently, and I've been recommending this to a lot of my clients, and I will recommend it to you as well. It's a book by Simon Sinek, and the title of the book is Start With Why. And it really captures this concept that before you move forward, so often we put the cart before the horse, as my dad used to say. We get excited and we think we know what we want, but we don't know the why behind it. And we have to start there. And it's so fun in these coaching experiences to sit down and to hear from my fellow appraiser colleagues, my clients, who want to take their business to the next level, and to assist them to be able to do so, but to start with the why. In other words, why is it that you want to go the direction that you want to go? And I find it often comes back to this definition of wealth. Okay, what is wealth? Because a lot of people come to me, and just to be honest, a lot of people, there's really two things that are probably 90% of what I do as a coach. It's either people who want more time in their life, or they want more money. Now, there's other things that we deal with as well, but most of the time that's especially the series of coaching. In other words, I have individuals come to me that have one-off problems, and they say, you know what, coach, I want to sit down with you for an hour and I just want to talk through what it is that I'm thinking of doing. And I want your advice and your help in getting there. And I love those sessions. But if you really want to take your business from one level to another, we usually do that through a series of coaching, maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 coaching sessions that are spread out over time so that we can help assist you to get from here to there. And by the way, let me back up for a second, and I'm going to just take a tributary here for a second. I promise to get back in the river here, but let's go down this path for just a second. I know I say this a lot, take your business to the next level, and I'm very aware when I say it that it's cliche. I'm very aware that it's a mantra that we use and that marketers use. We're here to take your business to the next level. Let's just get it down to nuts and bolts here for a second. What does that actually mean? Well, again, that's what we're talking about today. It means something different to you than it might mean to me. But as a coach, I'm here to find out what your why is. And just to put the cliche off to the side for a second, let's talk about specifics, right? Because a lot of individuals come to me and they're making somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 a year, gross, okay? And they come to me because I've been very vocal about where I'm at with my business and where I was and the principles that got me to where I am. And I've been able to help multiple appraisers get there, but that's really what I'm talking about here. Let's define it. Let's describe what it is that you're wanting. Because if you just come to me and say, Coach, I'm ready to take my business to the next level. Well, great. What does that mean? What is the next level? What's the definition of the next level? If you want to take your business from $100,000 a year to $500,000 a year, guess what? I can help you do that. I did it with my own business. I've done it with multiple clients of mine. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some goal setting and some breaking it down into incremental steps. But I promise you we can get there. If that's where you want to be, I can help you get there. Okay. But this, and the reason I went down that tributary, and I'm back in the river now. Okay. I didn't lose my spot. I promise. The reason I went down that tributary is because it's an example of what I see often, and that's people coming to me. By the way, there's nothing wrong with this. It's a great place to start. They come and say, Coach, I want to do this, and they define that thing. I want to make $500,000 a year as a real estate appraiser. Okay, great. Why? Let's start with that first. And here's what we find. Sometimes when you start to define the why, you find that your why changes your what and your how. And if you start with your what and your how, often you're headed down the wrong path. You've got to start with why. Thus the book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. If you can start with anything in your life, if you can start with why, you can go places. And this has to do with anything, by the way. Why is it that you're going to the gym in the morning? Think about that. Is it because your friends go to the gym in the morning? Is it because you know you're supposed to go to the gym in the morning? Is it because you want to lose weight? Is it because you want to be healthy and you want to have more stamina? What is it? What is it that drives you to get to the gym in the morning? I will guarantee, folks, if you don't have a why, your trips to the gym are limited. Social science will prove me right. And my own experience will prove me right. If I don't have a why behind everything that I do, and by the way, this is both negative and positive. Why is it that you're looking at porn at night? Have you ever asked yourself that? What is your why? When you start to define that, it's so amazing what can happen in your life. Why is it that every Friday night at 6 o'clock you go to the bar? Why? Well, Dustin, it's a habit. I've been doing it for years. Okay, but why? Well, I mean, really? Why? Why would I go to the bar? Yeah, why do you go to the bar? What is that doing for you in your life? By the way, I don't have a judgment one way or the other. Okay, if you want to go to the bar, go to the bar. I don't judge you for that. That may be a great thing for you. But if you're going to the bar every Friday at 6 o'clock and you don't have a why behind it, that why just might change everything in your life. And again, it's on negative things. It's also on positive things. Remember how the human psyche works. If you have a foundation, if you have a why behind the direction that you're going, it may completely change the trajectory that you're headed on. It's interesting to me to watch this experiment play out with my coaching sessions because I wouldn't say often, but sometimes. Sometimes individuals will come to me and they think they know what they want, but when we define the why, all of a sudden that what changes, and they don't want that anymore. Now, a lot of times it's the same. In other words, they know what they want, and when we start to define the why, it matches. And that's great because most people, I think, have a why. They just haven't defined it yet. They have a why and it kind of sits on the recesses, if you will, of their brain, of their subconscious, of their lizard brains. They emotionally know kind of what they want because they do have a why. But it's amazing what happens in the transformation that occurs in individuals' lives when they step back for a moment and define it and pinpoint it. And actually discover it, maybe for the first time. Why is it that you do what you do? Well, Dustin, the title of this podcast is not What is Your Why, although it could be. The title of this particular episode has to do with wealth. What is wealth? Now, I can tell you the traditional definition of wealth is one thing. But have you ever defined it for yourself? Because I think most people, when you use that word, wealth, most people go immediately to the dollars and cents, the financial side of wealth, right? That's what we think of. When someone is wealthy, we think of that person as being rich. We think of that person as having something maybe that we don't have, that we want. We look up to them and think, boy, it would be cool to be wealthy, right? That person is wealthy. Many years ago, I redefined the word wealth for me. Because I realized when I stepped back and started to look at the why of what I was doing, that it was different than what I thought it was. Oh, I knew the what and I knew the how. The what and the how go back to the principles that I've been teaching for years. The principles of prosperity that will get you from here to there. I understood that part of things. And by the way, those are true principles and those things work. But if it's all about the money, if it's all about getting quote unquote rich, remember what money is. Money is just a magnifier, right? Money is just a tool. Money simply allows you to be more of what you already are. Meaning if you're a jerk and then you get rich and you get money, you just become more of a jerk. If you're a kind, compassionate, giving person and you get more money, and you've seen that, you know people like this, right? They're humble, they're good, they're decent neighbors, they're giving, and then they get money. When I say they get money, they earn money, right? They all of a sudden have this, and maybe not all of a sudden, but they've gone from here to there, right? They were at this point, and now they're at this point. And what happens? They don't turn into a jerk. A lot of people think that when people get rich, that all of a sudden they have to turn into a selfish SOB. Well, guess what? That's not the case most of the time. Most of the time, what happens is when people have wealth, have money, have finances, have dollars, they simply become more of what they already were. So what are you? Where are you? What is your why? When we get back from the break, I want to define for you wealth for me, what wealth means for me. It might surprise you, but maybe not. But it's the principal foundation on which I stand and which keeps me moving and motivated every single day. And I'll give you a little hint. It has very little to do with finances. I'll tell you something that has a great deal to do with finances, and that is the tools that we use to allow us to be able to do more. The tools that we use in our business that allow us to be able to be more effective. Alamode is one of those tools. Alamode has been a sponsor here for many years, from the very beginning. I use Alamode. I don't get on here, I don't get on this microphone and promote anything that I'm not currently using and that I don't currently love. I absolutely love Alamode software. Why? Because it allows me to be able to be the appraiser that I want to be. It allows me to be able to utilize the best tools to accomplish the job. Folks, if you're with any other software out there, I'm sure you're getting the job done. But let's go back to a mantra that we talked about earlier today, getting to the next level. Are you ready to get to the next level when it comes to your software? Check them out. Go to alamode.com or call them at 800-ALAMODE. Speaking of being cost effective, how would you like to save time? Lots of time. on every single appraisal. I don't know what it takes to do an appraisal in your life, but I would say a cookie cutter standard appraisal, we're somewhere between 4 and 5 man hours from start to finish. Okay. A more complicated one might be, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 hours. Very rare that we have one that's less than those, though desktops might fall into that, different scope of work. But I'll tell you, folks, could you use another hour back of your time? Think about that for a second. If you could shave off an hour on every single report, would you do so? And what would that investment be worth to you? Folks, check out DataMaster. That will, on a regular basis, do that for you. Anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes per report. Let's round it off at 45 minutes. What could you do with 45 minutes? Not just per day, but per report. Could you start working on your business instead of just in your business? If you're not using DataMaster and it's in your area, you'd need to be. Go to www.datamasterusa.com for more information. One more time, it's datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Talk about the why, folks. We're talking about the why today. I'll tell you, Working RE Magazine will help you to define that why. If you don't fully understand where the appraisal profession is and where it's going, I highly recommend that you pick up Working RE Magazine. Not just the physical that will come, I think, 4 times a year to your mailbox? If you're not signed up for it, by the way, just jump on their website and figure it out. But also, while you're there, sign up for the free email newsletter. It comes on a regular basis, great information. It's found at workingre.com. One more time, workingre.com. And we're back talking today not just about what is your why and finding your why, your foundation, but also talking about wealth. And what is it that defines wealth for you? Well, I can tell you my definition of wealth. I'll tell you what my definition, because this really goes to everything that I do. Every relationship, taking care of my physical being, what I do with my time, how I organize my businesses, what I do with my relationships. I mean, there's so much that is centered around, because these are all the whys, right? And the why to me is developing wealth in my life. Now, don't go where your lizard brain wants you to go, and that is wealth equals riches. Finances are certainly a part of this, absolutely. They have to be, okay? But my definition of wealth, and by the way, this has changed slightly over the years. I've not redefined it, but chiseled off the rough edges, if you will. I've smoothed it out over the years. And currently, my definition of wealth is to be free to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, because I want. Let me repeat that. Dustin's definition of wealth is being free to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, because I want. Now, again, many of you are thinking, well, yeah, Dustin, if you're rich, you can do anything. Well, really? If you're rich and have poor health, that's not wealth to me. If you're rich and have good health, but your relationships are strained, again, not wealth. If you're rich, you have good relationships, you're in good health, but you're not in control of your time, that time controls you, that's not wealth. There's so much that goes into this definition, but it all comes back to one thing, foundational why. Why is it that I do what I do? Why is it that I choose to hire people? Why is it that I choose both contractors and W-2 employees to hire and to work within my appraisal business? There's a reason I do that. It's not just because I'm the appraiser coach and I teach the law of delegation. No, it's because I believe in the law of delegation, because the law of delegation allows me to be able to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, because I want. Why is it that I go to the gym in the morning? Most of the time. What gets me out of bed? It's wanting long-term, not just for the time being, but long-term, well into my older age, if you will, to be free to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, because I want. Why is it that I strive in my relationships with each of my children and my wife and my neighbors and my colleagues and my employees and everybody else that I associate with? Why is it that I strive to work on those relationships and to continually have good relationships? And if those relationships are strained, that I step back and ask myself, what can I do differently to improve this relationship? Because I want to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, because I want. Now, do finances play into this? Absolutely. Absolutely. The other day, I set up a Google alert because I had heard through the grapevine that Southwest was going to be flying to Hawaii. And my wife and I went to Hawaii, I don't know, it was for our 10th wedding anniversary. So it's been over 10 years now, been over a decade. And it was great. It was a wonderful experience. I left that island knowing that I would like to come back someday. And by the way, that's pretty rare for me. I love to travel the world. I love to see new places. I want to stress new. Okay. For example, we went to Paris this last year. If I never see Paris again, I'm absolutely fine with that. Okay. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I had that experience. But to go back, I'd rather spend my time, money, energy, relationships somewhere else. Okay. I'd rather see Tahiti. I'd rather see Greenland. I'd rather see, you name it. Okay. England, same way. I loved England. I'm glad I experienced it. I now have a repertoire of memories that I can draw on. When someone says England, I know what my experience in England was. And I have a first-hand experience being there. I'm glad I went a couple years ago. It was a great experience. I don't regret it one bit. If I never go back, okay, fine with me. There's so many areas in the world that I would like to go to someday. Bucket list things. I'd love to go to Africa someday, right? I know I'm way off in the weeds. Dustin, what does this have to do with anything? I'll tell you what it has to do with. Hawaii, okay? I've wanted to go back to Hawaii for years. I've wanted to take my children to Hawaii for years. And we have a window of opportunity coming up on a certain month that most of my family will be together, and maybe for the last time in a long, long time. And so I set up a Google alert, and as soon as it came across that Southwest was now selling tickets to Hawaii, by the way, they did not advertise because I set up the Google alert. It came to me through a news story, and I jumped on their website, and we got an amazing deal on airline tickets to Hawaii for our entire family. Now, that's not the only cost. We've got rental cars, we've got Airbnbs and motels, and of course the fun things that we're going to do while we're there. But folks, what I didn't have to do was step back and say, can we really afford this? What I didn't have to do was step back and say, will my health hold up in Hawaii? What I didn't have to say was, do I really want to spend 2 weeks in Hawaii with my family? Ugh. Do you see what I'm getting at? Wealth is being able to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. For what reason? Because you want. Where are you with your definition of wealth? You can adopt mine. I'll give it to you. You can have it. Or adopt your own. More importantly, where are you with the why in what you're doing? Some of you might say, Dustin, how do you spend 2 weeks in Hawaii and your appraisal business not fall apart? It's a great question. And there was a long period of time when I could not answer that question. I could not go to Hawaii for 2 weeks. When my wife and I went, we went for barely over a week, and that was hard. And to be honest with you, I was working most days from Hawaii, right? That was years ago. I've since decided in my own life that I want my appraisal office to be able to function without me. And so I have moved beyond the why. The why is, okay, because I want to do what I want, with whom I want, when I want, because I want. But I don't want to be tied to that office. And so I've now moved into the next realm, which is the what and the how. Maybe we'll do a podcast someday on why, what, and how, because they have very specific definitions. Some of you are saying, isn't what and how kind of the same thing? No, they're very different. Your why, your what, and your how. What is your why? What is your definition of wealth? What are you doing today to allow you to be able to have wealth today, tomorrow, into the future? Don't look back. Don't look at where you've been. Don't look at your colleagues and say, well, this is just the way it is. Appraisers are, they're $85,000 a year people. That's just what it is. That's what we have to do. That's what AMCs pay, man. Well, maybe. Unless you can redefine your why. I can help you do that. I talked about coaching sessions. I absolutely get a thrill out of helping appraisers to get to where they want to be because they've defined the why. Please reach out to me. You can just go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, and up at the top, you'll see a coaching tab. Click on the coaching tab, and let's get together. I would love to have a conversation with you.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
When we get out and when we get back, I want to, sorry, editor, let's back up.